So in this video, we are going to talk about vulnerability management and do a short demonstration on this topic, where we will be covering the vulnerability scanning and remediation. These are the two main steps in the vulnerability management lifecycle, which we'll just quickly look upon in a bit. What we'll be using is Nessus Essentials, which is like one of the most used tools for vulnerability management. I think it's like quite known amongst cybersecurity professionals. Many organizations use it as well, like not the essentials, but I think it's mostly they use the expert or the professional version of it, like the paid version of it. But essentials, or the ones that we will use, is like a free version where you can just use it to learn about vulnerability management and like do scans on your own computer on virtual machines that you design. So like it's quite a handy tool for you to learn about it as well. And like you can follow along as well for this demonstration. You can also go through all the steps that I do to get an idea of how a vulnerability management system or the whole life cycle looks like, and how you can scan and remediate different problems, different threats, different vulnerabilities that exist in your computer, or the things that you can design yourself to check and like then go back, remediate and rescan, and all those steps. So yeah, as I was talking about it, we will be also using a virtual machine. Like what I'll be using is a cloud-based virtual machine, and in this, like basically we'll do some credential scans to discover the vulnerabilities and then remediate it, and then the third part, like rescan to see and evaluate what happens, or like if it worked or not, or like what are the more vulnerabilities that exist, and like go through these steps in this whole demonstration. So yeah, before diving into the demonstration, like I will just quickly talk about what vulnerability management is. So basically it's like a whole loop where like you identify, evaluate, and like then mitigate and remediate all the vulnerabilities that exist in your computer, in your organization's virtual machines, all the things depending on like what you're using. What we will be doing is like a low scaled one of how vulnerability management looks like, and because like in an organization it's like more well oiled, or like there are different ways in which also the remediations takes place, also the mitigation takes place. So we won't go deep into this as in how it happens in an organization, but more on an individual level of understanding what vulnerability management is. And so like before getting into it, just giving you a short idea of like all the steps of what happens and why it is useful. So like basically it's just to make sure that the security posture of your whole organization is kept in check. That's like, this is like the main reason why vulnerability management is used, or like this process is taken or is carried out in an organization. And yeah, so like really important is that to mitigate the risks and like the security risks of all the things that happens in an organization, as that's like initially the most important part of cybersecurity. When you also read about security, when I think also if you're prepared for Security Plus exam or CISSP, I think this is quite like something which you will be studying a lot, or like focusing a lot on. Risk mitigation and the remedy of all the vulnerabilities or threats. So like I would say vulnerability management is also used by pen testers, yes, but it's more the blue team work. So like if you don't know about blue team, red team, so like blue team is the one who protects, and the red team is the one who basically finds vulnerabilities and penetrates through these vulnerabilities in an organization to find out, okay, what are the new threats that have occurred which is not yet discovered. So yeah, these are the two teams. Like there are also more, there are purple, yellow teams. Yeah, but yeah, not getting too much into this part, but yeah, getting back to the topic of vulnerability management, I will just point out a few, or like the steps of how this life cycle looks like. So it's like, first is like identification of the vulnerabilities. That's the first step, that is identify. Then it's like assessment and prioritization. So like prioritizing which threats or which vulnerabilities to which are like something which has to be done immediately, something which is just which exists and like it's not an important part and can be looked in a different setup, in a different timeline as well. And especially in an organization, what you will really look at is that all the ones which are like lower than high priorities. Like I think how you differentiate is like there's critical, there's high, medium, low, and then there's just info vulnerabilities, which we'll also see in the in Nessus GUI once we get into it. That most of the time the organizations don't even take or don't even look at the ones which are lower than high priority, because they already have so much in critical and high. And I mean, these are the ones which you have to solve or like mitigate and find the remedies like way faster than the other ones. So the others are like not even considered. That's the reason why prioritization is really important. And like after prioritization, it's like the risk analysis of the whole thing, then again mitigation and remediation of the vulnerabilities, then getting into the verification and validations, which we also do is like rescanning and seeing if the remedies that you applied, if it works or not, doesn't work. So also really important part. And then later it's just the continuous monitoring. So like as I said, it's a loop. So what you do is like you just keep checking it again and again of if there's something more, something not. Most of the organizations also have a scheduled scan as well instead of manual scanning. It can be like each day or like every 8 hours, 6 hours, depending on what it's the policies are of the organization. But what we will do is like we will do the manual scanning. So like we will ourselves click on the button which says scan, and it will scan and then give us all the results basically. So yeah, these are basically the steps. As I mentioned before, like we will be using two things, which is like a virtual machine and a Nessus Essentials. So as I mentioned, I will be using cloud VM, cloud virtual machine. And like if you want to use it the same way as well, like if you want to use cloud virtual machine, you can use either from AWS, Azure, or from Google, like Google Cloud, whichever like you're more familiar to. If you do not know anything about it, I also have a video where like I basically build my own virtual machine, like basically a home lab, but also in this part of the creation, also creating my own virtual machine, which you can just follow these steps. I can put the link in the description of this video as well, and you can follow and create your own virtual machine on AWS. I also have created a virtual machine on Azure, like in a different video. I can also put the link of that video. Like it's a much vast video. It's not just about virtual machine or like creation of virtual machine or a home lab, but if you just watch initial 10 minutes of it, you will just get to know exactly how to make your own virtual machine or start a virtual machine using Azure as well. The reason why I use cloud-based is that I do not have a high-tech on-premises home lab. So like it makes sense to use cloud. If you have a really good PC or a laptop, you can also do an on-premises virtual machine using, you can use Oracle VirtualBox, or you can use VMware. I think these are like two very known ones, and you will find in many videos about it. I think it's also not very difficult. You can just do it on your own as well. All you have to do is like you just have to download a Windows ISO file, like which you can just directly get it from the Windows website as well. So like it's like really easy for you to make an on-premises virtual machine as well. So yeah, getting into Nessus Essentials, as I mentioned, Nessus Essentials is something which is like it's free for everyone to use. All you have to do is like just register. So I will put the link in the description of it as well. Like all you have to do is like you have to go to like this website. You have to put your first name, last name, and just the email. And once you click on get started, you will get an email with the activation code for your Nessus Essentials. And like also in this, like you will get an option where you can just click on download Nessus. So once you click on this, there will be a new tab which will open, which is like this, and it auto detects which platform you have, and then it will select it for you. If in case you want to change, like you can always just change to Linux, Mac, whichever you have, and choose different types which you want, and then just click on download, and this will download the exe file for it, like the executable, and just click on it and then go to the setup. Like it takes like about a minute, and once it's done, like this is the web app page which open up. You can also like do is like just save this link in Notepad or somewhere, like just in case if you close it accidentally, like it's really hard to like find. So like it's better to have it saved, and then click on VSSL. Make sure like you just click that it's in the advanced section, that you can just say that it's safe to use it, and afterwards like just make sure that you use the essentials, like not anything else, as we don't need the other ones. Click on continue, and like here it's, as we already have the activation code in your in your email, you don't like have to register again. Like just click on skip and then put the activation code. Like I will do it separately, and like once you paste the activation code, all it will do is like it will ask you for the creating a username and password. So like I can show it again to you. Like you have to create a username and password. So like just create a username and password which like you can remember, which is like well protected as well, as it's quite important. And once you've done it, I will show you what happens. So once you just create your account, or like create your, all it does is like it starts initializing, and this takes a bit of time, like I would say like around 5 minutes, sometimes 10 minutes as well. Like it's basically just downloading all the plugins, setting up the whole web app, and after this like there's another step which again it takes, I would say, another 10 minutes. So like this is just the first time, like so when you set it up, it always takes time. So when it's done, we will be back, and then I will show you again as a step where it where it takes again 10 minutes, and then it will be fully, so the web app afterwards will be fully completed. So yeah, we will come back to this point again. Once as you can see, what you will also notice, when the download of the plugins is completed, which I would say takes up to 5 minutes, there's the web app, or the web application for Nessus Essential, which opens up, as you can see. And then what you see here, like it says compiling plugins. This is another step which takes I would say another 5 to 10 minutes as well. And once this is done, then you can create your own like new scan. So what we'll do is like we again wait for this to complete. I would say roughly about 10 minutes it takes. I think depends, sometimes it also takes longer, so you can just take a rest at this point, or like keep it open, do other things that you want to do, and then just check back after 10 minutes or 15 minutes to see if this is complete or not, and yeah, then go forward with these steps again. So as now you can see that the compilation of the plugins is completed. So like the sign will be gone, and usually what will happen is you also will get a notification here which says like the plugin compilation is completed. And after this point, like you can see that the create a new scan, like new scan, these two buttons are like highlighted, which means now you can start a new scan. So yeah, just clicking on a new scan, and like you will just be creating a basic network scan. So just go on like basic network scan. And yeah, so like also before, remember to set up your virtual machine, like irrespective of you do it on premises or like cloud. Just make sure that you have set it up properly. And then later on, like when we go here, as I said like before, like usually in organizations these are like automated tasks. So like the scanning is done like through scheduling, and it can be like 8 hours, 6 hours, one day, like depending on what the organization decides as to like what they want to do, like at what particular time they want to scan it. And like also what you can, like you'll just see if you enable it, and then there will be like different options when you can basically set up things like this. And like also and the credentials, like this is something which will go we will come back to in a few minutes, like once we do this new scan. Like so right now what we're doing is like we just want to create a scan, or in terms of like this very basic, like what it will just check everything that's based on no authorization into the virtual machine. So like here, like when we go in, like you can basically put in the administration network like the password and basically the username, and then in this, like it goes more into deep, like just dives into your virtual machine, like into the registry and the file sharings and everything. So yeah, this is something which we'll go back and look at. So yeah, before we go, like so what you can do is, like if you do not know your IP address of the virtual machine, so like if in case you did it the on-premises way, so what you can do is like you just go to like the command prompt and just type ipconfig, and you will get you'll get your IP address for it as well. And if in case like you're using the normal as in the cloud ones, so you can also see that you will have the IP here, the public IP, or also in your GUI from the cloud, whichever cloud you're using, Azure, AWS, depending on what you use. So like what we'll do is, like in the main in your computer, just go to command, and you'll see it here that right now what we'll do is like we'll try to ping our virtual machine. And what we'll notice here, like the request will time out basically. And so what you have to do is like you just go onto this, that is like vf.msc, that is basically your firewall configuration. And you like it's not the best practice, but like you don't necessarily have to, but make sure like you just click all the profiles to off, like the firewall state, apply, and click on OK. And what you'll notice is that it will start pinging the moment you do it. So like you can jump out of it. And then now what we'll do is, like as we know the IP, give it a general name. You can describe what it is, and like just paste the IP address, and then like click on save. So here what you'll see is that like the scan is now set up. Like this is basically not the scan, it's just the setup for the scan. So now what we'll do is like we start the initial basic scan, and just go click on launch. And usually what you can see is like if you also click on it, normally it sometimes shows you like real time as to how many scans it has already went through, as in how many things it has went through, and like we'll keep updating. Like I think Sometimes it shows, sometimes not, like it depends, but normally it does. Like here, when you can see that there are like some, and then after it's complete, so like here you will see like the complete percentage, like when it's completely done. So going to back to the scan, and like this, when it's running, like it shows like it's completed. It normally, I would say, like takes up to 5 minutes, this as well. So like we will come back once the scan is complete, and then look at all the details of it. So now as you can see, like there's a small tick mark next to the scan, and basically this says that your scan is complete. So you can just jump into the scan, and what you'll see is like here, it's basically a very basic scan which happened in the for our virtual machine. And like you can see a bunch of information, a few medium vulnerabilities, and this one high. And I think I'm pretty sure it's about the SSL certificate. So like you can go and mix, and SSL. So this is basically what like you can always see the description about it and the solution for it. So like this, when you read the description, it's about the medium lock system that is used instead of like high lock, and especially in a organization this would be like a very important thing. But like as you can see here, like when you go back to all the like basically the scan, what you will see is that it does not give you a big information as to what's happening in this virtual machine. So like there will be a bunch of information, like usually information, what you can see, like it's not necessarily that it's a vulnerability. It can be like a normal information of random things. But yeah, I think what's really important is that you focus on the actual threats that come up. So like when you can see here, like there's like a percentage of the whole scan, and what like what kind of vulnerabilities exist at this point. So now like you can just go along on different things and just read out the description and what it says, and you can like get to know about things if you want to. So like right now what we'll do is like we will configure our virtual machine for like making sure that it can get the credential scanning, like that it can do it. I think you can find the documentation for doing it as well. Like there are different steps for Windows that you can find it on Nessus. Like they have their documentation which like you can follow to do this, like because as it's something which is not done by an organization, like without policies. You have to like create certain hacks to like make sure that you can do it, like do the credential scanning, and as like this only mainly for the demonstration, like when you what you see is on the virtual machine, because I think it's so normally if you do it directly on your PC, so on your actual laptop or computer, then this won't be a problem. But as you're doing on a virtual machine, like you have to find some hacks to like do this. So like the first thing is like you go to services, and like what we'll do is like we go all the way to like remote registry and enable this. So like this is again, as it allows you to do it on the virtual machine as well. So just click, like what we'll do is like we will enable it, and what you can see is like then it's the status, like it's running. So the next thing what we'll do is like we go to the like this is something where you have to like just to make sure that it's here, like that it's turned on, is like the file sharing. So all you see that it's turned on, so like you don't have to change. But just in case if it's turned off, make sure that you select, like check the turn on option for both, and then click on like save changes. The next is we go to the user account control, and this like just change to never notify. Again, as I said, like these are like hacks, but in an organization like these steps do not exist. Like I think also if you use the professional or the expert version, like you don't have to find hacks basically for doing this. But yeah, as for demonstration and for understanding, I think this is what we'll use. So the last part is like we will create a token in our registry editor. So like all you have to do is like jump to this, but just to make sure that I show you the whole process, like just like you have to go to, or like you will be basically jumped into this, to the computer, and what you have to do is like make sure that you go on local machine, and in local machine what you have to do is like you have to go all the way in general to software. So from software you have to go to Microsoft. Microsoft you have to go to like Windows, like going like really down where Windows is, and in Windows you have to go into current version, and in current version you have to go to policies, so like also a bit further down, and like in policies you go to the system, and here like you'll create a new dword with the name, if I'm correct, it's local account token filter policy. I will just quickly check on my notes. So like this is something which you will find on the documentation from Nessus as well. And once you create this, make sure that you click like make the value 1. Okay, and then like close it. What you have to do is afterwards you have to make sure that you restart your virtual machine. So as it's cloud, like even if I click restart, like I will have to like go to my remote desktop and basically connect again. And once it's done, once the connection is complete, like or like once it restarts, you then can go on, and then we will do certain things. So what we will do is like now once this reboots, like you can let it reboot, and you go back to your like the Nessus Essential, like the web app, and like check this, and like then what you have to do is like you and then you have to edit this. So like go on more, and then configure. So and in configuring, like here, like that's what we do is like we use the credentials. So Windows, that's what we are using, Windows, and here like you put the administration and the username and the password for your virtual machine. And just in case if you do not know what your username is, hopefully you remember the password, but if you do not know the username, like you can go to command prompt and just type who am I, and it will tell you like which username you're logged into. So just log in with your credentials, or like make sure that you put this in here, and then just save the, and once it's saved, the next step that you have to do is like saving. And then now what we'll do is like we will again rescan this, and to the scan, and like make a new scan. And what you'll notice is that hopefully you will get in general some more vulnerabilities, because now in the credential scannings, we have given the Nessus the authorization to dive more into the registry and look more into the things, and I think it comes up with a lot of more details. It also, I think, looks into your Windows updates, that if all the applications that you're running in your virtual environment, or also in your normal PC, if they're updated or not, or what additional vulnerabilities that exist. And it's most likely that you will get way more vulnerabilities compared to a normal scan without the credentials. So without letting it get into your registries and get into the actual computer, and just not having just a normal scan. This also roundabout takes 5 to 7 minutes. It's comparatively the same time. What you can do is again, you can just go on and check the real time scanning, and once it hits 100%, that's the complete response. So we will come back again once the whole scan is done, and then see, and then basically look at all the vulnerabilities and see different things that come up on this scan. So I underestimated the time it takes to complete the scan, but yeah, right now again, you can see that there's a tick mark which says completed, so the scan is complete. And once you go in, what you can see, there's way more vulnerabilities, way more, there's some high, some critical as well, more vulnerabilities added. You can also just go to history, and then here you can compare. Basically, this was the first scan without the credentials scanning, the normal one, and basically had one high, and the new one, what you can see is there's way more than before. So here you can go and look at the vulnerabilities and dive more deeper into it. I think most of them, most of them are the based on Microsoft and Windows updates. So all the ones which I think it's basically when the virtual machine needs to be updated. So you can just go on description and see the solutions, it's the same process, and you see a lot more than before. And I think most of them are ones with Windows. So before we we can look at the remediations. There are security updates that you have to do. Most of them are related to the security update, and I think it's mainly that if you do the Windows update on this, basically solves the whole issue. Before we get into the remediations, what I want to do is I want to install one particular very an old version of Firefox, so a deprived version of some software, and see how this changes, or what kind of vulnerabilities it introduces, what the scans changes, and somehow again compare as to this what we see right now, and adding kind of a vulnerable executable into the virtual machine, and seeing how much this affects or what additional vulnerabilities it adds to our scan. So I already set it up, as it took quite long, and I hope it's still working. So it's some random old version of Firefox, which I we'll download and then open it and like make sure that I execute it and like install it in the install. So once the installation is complete, and then what we'll do is like we will again launch, probably does not matter. And yeah, what we'll do is like scan again and see like what it adds up. So once I think it's installed, yeah, as you can see it's installed, and the next thing is what we'll do is like we launch a new scan, and once it's completed, I hope it won't take like kind of an hour again, but if it does, yeah, like once it's complete, I will come back and we will check the new vulnerabilities it adds and see basically what or how many of it is just like with this one additional software can do. And then later on we will just do some remediations for the same, and then like check back again with the scan. So now the scan is complete, like again as it shows, and now we can go into see the details, and wow, yeah, like it was pretty much expected. Like you see such a big jump in the vulnerabilities, like the critical ones and the high ones. Like before we get into the vulnerabilities and seeing the remediations, like we just jump back again to the history, and so like this was the one before, and say like 19% high, like 1 or 2% critical, and like look at how much it jumped. Like the critical jump like had such a big jump, just because of this one old Firefox that we downloaded and like installed. So like when you jump into the vulnerabilities, and like I think most of them, like these are the mixed ones, and yeah, like you can clearly see like these are all the critical ones with like so this CVSS score, like this is like basically the score which defines like how, or like it's a way of them to prioritize like which is the critical one, which is like high, and so the higher the CVSS rating, like the higher the prioritization, so like it's more like the severity increases based on like the CVSS score. And if you click like, yeah, okay, it's the Firefox, and like it says all the reasons like it's what it has, and like these are the ones which basically explains you like what all the vulnerabilities it brings. And yeah, like the solution pretty much quite simple, like upgrade to this like the latest version basically. Like I think a whole bunch of it, like you can see 171, so like 171 accounts for just this. And also what you will see, like Microsoft Office, these are like the three big, like these I think also existed before, so like but which had the 102 count, so like the amount of it. But yeah, this is like a massive one. So what we'll do is like we'll do two things. Like one is like we will like just uninstall the Firefox that we installed, like the old version of it, and then we will just keep on updating the Windows. So like just keep updating it till the point it's like completely updated. So like updating, restarting, and once it's completely done, we will then go back again and do a scan, and like the final scan of like the improved version of like the step of now what you've done. Like we identified, after identification we have prioritized. This is the prioritization of it. Mitigation is basically uninstalling the Firefox, and remediation is like the installation of your Windows, and afterwards like verifying. So the verification is like the final scan, which shows if it's done, like what all things are still again left. Hopefully nothing would be left, because these were like the two main ones. One is like the installation of the whole, or like the updating your whole Windows, and one, the major one, which is like the Firefox. So like going back to the virtual machine, to run fwiz, not SPI. Oh, CPL. So like it's just a shortcut to reach the like uninstallation of the programs. So like you can also just type uninstall program and then it will show up, but I think I'm just used to using run commands. And like here we will just click on uninstall, like basically just removing the whole thing. And once it's done, like it's complete. And the next thing that we will do is go to our update. So like checking for the updates. Maybe I just increase it, and then like, yeah, these are like the updates that it shows, and like these are the things which should be installed. It's already checked. And so once the updates are completed, like it's basically just going back, reinstallation, and like restarting, and then checking again if there's more like more updates which still come, updating it, and then reinstalling. So like I will pause it, restart it again once it's complete, come back, check it again, like, and then show you if there's more updates, updated, pause it again, and then like doing this process like a few times, or hopefully not a few times, or maybe 1 or 2 times, and then like we will do the final scan. So like after finishing the first set of updates, like we'll just check and see like if there's something more, and like if not, we can then start the scan again. I guess there shouldn't be, but there is possibility, like, yeah, I think, as I'm pretty sure, like it has to go through each of the like newer versions and then like keep updating it. I think then it would kind of take long, as in like will be a few more processes which it has to go through. So yeah, like I will just keep coming back to this point and like keep updating, and then once it's complete, like we will then do the final yeah, like the final scan, and then yeah, we will look how different is it from the like initial scan, also going all the way up to the last one, and then yeah, just measuring the differences. So like it seems like all the updates are completed. So like right now we can just go back to our scans, and like what we'll do is like this will be like the final scan, to like looking and basically after the remediations, looking at the like verifying if these remediations work, and like if there are more or something like this. So it's basically this step. So like launching the scan again, and then once it's complete, like we come back, check it again, and like see what changes we see from the last scan. So now like the final scan is completed. Like we can just go on, and what you'll notice, like it's again a way big difference to what it was before. So like just jumping on the history, this was basically what was with this the old Firefox, and with the unupdated Windows, like the one which was like also like Windows was not updated here, but like when you see we had like so many critical vulnerabilities, and then like jumping into here, there's like, I think this one, and I'm pretty sure it's this SSL one. Like if we go and jump into the vulnerabilities, okay, the 365. So this is basically, I have to go to the Microsoft Store and then do it. Like it doesn't come with the with the update, with the Windows update, and most of them are like this, where you just have to go back to the Microsoft Store and like update them like separately with them. And like, yeah, that's the thing, like you see such a huge jump in just like this one simple remediation of like updating the Windows, and like also the part of changing taking out Firefox, like the old version of it. Like again, we will just jump back to history. So like this is how it was before. So like the Windows, or like the first scan that we did, then we moved here with additional vulnerabilities, and then after like remediating, coming back to like 12% of high and like 1% critical. I think it's just one or like a few of them. So just in general, when you see that just updating also the Windows, like this is like was the standard one, and then updating also like it reduced a lot of vulnerabilities as well. So this, like you can also like just go on and like manually update certain things. Like you can always just go and check like each and everything, like in the vulnerabilities, like when you go check everything, like each which says okay, update this, update that, you can do this and like reduce your vulnerabilities as well, like just in case if you want to check and then like clean up everything, or if you're using it for your own PC, then you definitely might want to do it. So like this is how I would say, like in general, what you can do for like to cleaning up. Like I won't go into this more detail, like I'll stop at this point to like close off the demonstration. Also usually what you'll see, like the things, especially with updates, is like in an organization you have general policies, and you also create like kind of OS patches, so that the OS updates regularly on its own, like every 7 days, which is standard. You can also make it like every 3 days, so like it keeps checking every 3 days or even a day, and then updates on its own. So like automate this factor, and like in general in an organization, basically these are the parts. So if you're a vulnerability, like if you're working in vulnerability management, so your part would be to identify, then prioritize, mitigate, and then like remediate everything, like these vulnerabilities, identifying and mitigating, remediating, and like just keep on this process. And in this you can like also on higher points can like automate a lot of things as well. So yeah, this was kind of a demonstration of how vulnerability management takes place in an organization, and how you can use Nessus for this particular topic. So yeah, like you can also try this, give it a few tries, like get to know more about it, try different environments. Like you can also, if you're using like your on-premises virtual machine, there you can also like download the Windows XP ISO as well, because I think like in cloud I think it's not available, but yeah, on premises you can always find. And then you can try this and see like what more vulnerabilities do exist, because of like as XP is not used anymore, and like you can just grind and understand it a bit more if you want to. So you get quite a good idea of how this works. So yeah, I hope this was helpful, and you can find something more to do. So yeah, until next time, bye bye.